You are listening to the Love and Money podcast with Shakira. Today I'm going to talk to you about Moderna. What's going on with the Moderna stock? So Moderna just joined the S&P 500 as of Wednesday. So how the S&P 500 works is it's the top 500 performing companies, and they get rid of the companies that are not doing well, and they put the top performing 500 companies in there. So Moderna is new. It just joined the S&P 500. And as you know, Moderna is very successful in revenue because of its invention of the COVID-19 vaccine. If you remember, the three choices that were in the news were from the companies Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson. And there were other companies also working on the vaccine, but those are the three ones that had the major headlines in the news: the Moderna, the Pfizer, the Johnson & Johnson. But there are other companies working on vaccines also. But Moderna has just joined the S&P 500 as being one of the strongest companies as far as generating revenue. It increased by 4.5%. And then as of Wednesday, actually, the stock was up by 208% year to date. So that's what's going on with Moderna. Very strong revenue, very strong profit, and so they added it into the S&P 500. As you know, Tesla entered the S&P 500 back in December, and so now Moderna has joined the S&P 500 as being one of the strongest companies as far as generating the most revenue and the most profit, and is in the running for the one of the top 500 companies. Hence, it's called the S&P 500. And so, along with the COVID-19 vaccine that Moderna has developed, it's also working on developing vaccines and medicines for other diseases. Diseases to include, it's working on vaccines and medicines for diseases to include not only the coronavirus, but to include diseases such as cancer, Zika, heart disease, and HIV. So it's working on a myriad of other diseases besides the vaccine for the coronavirus. So this is what's going on with Moderna. If you bought Moderna as an individual share of stock, you would have saw your profit skyrocket. Like say if you had bought Moderna right when the pandemic was starting. If you had bought Moderna, if you had just went to your phone and bought a share of stock from, say, Robinhood or TD Ameritrade or E Trade or M1 Finance or one of the other platforms, if you had a bought in at that time with Moderna, right now you would see your profit skyrocketing depending on how many shares of stock. So now you don't have to be concerned about that because it's in the S&P 500. So as long as you're in the S&P 500, you're getting the profit from the top 500 companies. So you don't need to concern yourself about what stocks to buy, when you should buy it, et cetera, et cetera. As long as you're in an index fund uh, or the S&P 500, which has everything, which includes the top 500 performing companies. So, like I said before, Moderna has just joined the S&P 500. That's the latest news that is going on. And it replaced Alexion Pharmaceuticals, which is to be acquired by AstraZeneca. And as you know, Tesla has already joined the S&P 500 back in December. And so now Moderna has joined. It's one of the stars as far as generating very high profits, very high revenues. So this is what's going on with the Moderna stock, with the stock market, and with the changes that are going on in the S&P 500. Like I said before, how the S&P 500 works, it's an accumulation of various stocks. They only deal with the top performing stocks. So they put the good ones in there, they put the ones that are performing in there, and they kick the ones that aren't performing well. They kick them out. And so they are consistently looking at different stocks, and they are consistently monitoring that for you, so that if you're invested in something like the S&P 500, you can be assured that you're always investing in the very high performing stocks. Because, like I said, if a stock is not performing, they kick it out for you. So they're monitoring that for you. And so that is the safety in investing in index funds. So some people who are not interested in looking up different stocks or figuring out the valuation of stocks, or looking at if something is performing or not, they they're generally better off just investing in index funds because they make it easy for you. The good ones are there. The ones that are not performing, they kick them out. So that's the general advice that they generally give to the population is to just get into an index fund if you're not interested in learning about stocks. On the other hand, some people are interested in learning about stocks, reading about stocks, and learning different strategies that people are doing out here as it pertains to stocks. Like some people buy and sell stocks for a living. Some people do options trading for a living. Some people do day trading for a living. Oh, some people get excited about things like that. For example, Wall Street bets, they keep their eye out on the next meme stock to buy. So it's basically your choice. Whether you're interested in stocks, learning about the stock market, learning about how to do valuations, learning about which stocks are performing, which companies are performing at high revenues and high profits, or whether you just want to take the lazy route out because you're not interested. That's the other segment of the population, and they would do just as well, if not better, by finding a good index fund to get into. And so, like I said before, Moderna has just joined the S&P 500. And so that's the latest news. So this is the Love and Money podcast with Shakira. If you like this podcast, please share it with one other person. And please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps the algorithm. Thank you for listening.